challenge. Coming to specifically, I want to talk about the vehicular pollution part of it, and within that also the EV policy that you brought in. And I think that's one of the most forward-looking, I don't know, the first state, second state to bring an EV policy. And if you can share a little bit about what was the context. Of course, there's this whole pollution wala bit there. And what did you do? Because at that time, it didn't exist in other states, I'm assuming. So what is the background work that you did to kind of put that policy together? We'll get into the specifics of the policy also, but a little bit of the context there.
First, let me state that one of the most satisfying experiences I've had as being part of Delhi government the last many years, 6 years now, I think more than 6 years, has been the Delhi EV policy. I've been associated very closely from day one of, thinking, conceiving, designing, working with all the stakeholders, and through the implementation phase. We have just finished 3 years of Delhi's EV policy. Now, you said, how did you start? The motivation was very clear. The motivation was air pollution. And I think that separates Delhi EV policy from many other state EV policies. Because if you look at it, you look at the government of India, which is a ministry that is implementing the EV policy of government of India.
The transportation and the
heavy industry. Is the FAME scheme of government of India that subsidizes EVs is implemented by the Department of Heavy Industries. So motivation है कि नहीं manufacturing को बढ़ावा देना है. Ours was probably the second or third EV policy. I think Karnataka and maybe Telangana had an EV policy earlier before us. But there also the theme was the same, that we are bringing an EV policy to support manufacturers to produce domestic EV vehicles.
Here the motivation was pollution.
Air pollution. And therefore, one big change in our EV policy, which was very clear because our motivation was clear. The reason why Delhi said that, no, let's come up with a path-breaking EV policy is because we definitely want to make a dent on pollution. For us, pollution is one of our major mandates, as we see that we want to be able to, change the levels of pollution in Delhi. And we realize that vehicular pollution, as we discussed, is roughly 25% around the year. In winters, it even increases. You cannot do that until you shift, the entire vehicular fleet to electric. And therefore, the policy needs to be focusing on the demand side. What can we do to make every section of the society to adopt EVs?
Want to use
rather than attracting big manufacturers ki banao. And we also realized, after almost a year, and there was, by the way, a year of consultative exercise, making a draft policy, doing a national consultation which had stakeholders from all, there were think tanks, there were manufacturers, there were international bodies like the United Nations Environment Program. A lot of people participated in our consultations. And we realized that, a big problem in India's EV industry was that सब कोई manufacturer को push देना चाह रहे हैं, लेकिन जब तक demand ही नहीं है market में, तो manufacturer किसके लिए बनाएगा? You're asking them to improve range, provide better EVs, but research money is going to come only when there's consumer demand.
Yeah.
So Delhi at that time, I think the big reason Delhi's policy stood out was that we were almost entirely, we didn't even have a section for manufacturers. We said that we are dedicated, we were the first EV policy to stick our neck out and say that our success will be in terms of adoption of EVs in the country. And we said that by 2024, so we brought out our policy in August 2020. Today we are in August 2023. So exactly 3 years we finished. But we had laid out a 4-year target that time, that by end of 2024, 1 out of every 4 vehicles being sold in Delhi will be EV.
That's an ambitious goal.
25%
of new
all new vehicles. All new vehicles. You can't do obviously jo purane vehicles, and they always phase out at the end of the day. 10-12 saal ki jo age hoti hai unki. But the reason why it was bold, and again credit at some level to the leadership that they signed off on it, is because at that time the take-up of electric vehicles in Delhi was 1 to 2%. So 100 में से एक वाहन आपका electric बिक रहा है, and you are saying कि मैं 25 पे ले जाऊंगा, unheard of,
So you're saying two differences. One, you're saying the focus being pollution, and within the policy, the emphasis on demand generation as opposed to manufacturing. And there the ambitious goal of saying कि 2024 तक हमें 25% new ये चाहिए. Was there any other such top line kind of goal that you set, or this is the
number one and the last goal? Everything else is dedicated. देखो एक बार clarity होती है policy. I mean that's the one thing which maybe we'll talk about for other policies, that part of the problem in our policy landscape is you do not know what you're solving for. आपको ये भी करना है, आपको वो भी करना है, आपको ये भी करना है. That is not how policy is. You determine your focus and then everything needs to be pulling
in service to that goal, basically.
Yeah, it has to be in service of that goal. So once, and that doesn't happen easily. The point is, it takes time to build that consensus and make people agree कि नहीं ये हमें, we have to set a North Star.
Yeah.
And एक बार वो set कर लिया, now tell us what needs to be done at every stage to reach there. So that's how we approach.
Before that, tell me कि इस पे चल क्या रहा है? What is the current statistics and how does it also fare vis-a-vis other cities in the country? But in Delhi का where are we?
In 3 years of the EV policy of Delhi, I'm very happy to state that we have reached exactly halfway. We are at around 12 to 13% of all sales of vehicles that are happening in Delhi currently are electric vehicles.
Got it.
The national average is around 6 to 7%.
Okay.
And I think the topmost city even after Delhi would be maybe Bangalore or Pune, which is at around 8%. So we are at least 1.5 times ahead of
other cities,
the nearest other cities. But these numbers hide a lot. I'll tell you.
No, we'll get into that. But you feel कि next year का target is in sight?
I think it's still going to be a little steep. I sincerely hope that we have around 1.5 years left. We will probably touch 20.
Okay.
And I'll accept it any day. If you ask me, I'm going to accept it any day because Delhi did something which no other city and state was willing to do.
Yeah.
And we have, if you just allow me to share two numbers.
Please.
Because this is, sometimes these top line numbers hide the reality of the massiveness of the change. Today, any person who is visiting Delhi, अगर आप दिल्ली की सड़कों पे घूम रहे हो, I'll take a bet. You spend 5 minutes on any road and you tell me if you'll not see a green plate. You will definitely see a green plate.
Yes.
Green plate is an electric vehicle, right? And the numbers speak for themselves, as I said, that in 2020 में हमारी policy आई थी. 2019 में, I pulled this data out for you. 2019 में total electric two-wheelers दिल्ली में कितने बिके थे? 1000, करीबन 1100 या something. 2022 में within 3 years कितने बिके? 35,000, 35x growth in two-wheelers in 3 years.
And this is